Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another issue of Hops Geek News, a podcast where we talk about comic books, movies, TV shows, pop culture in general. We love beer. We talk about beer most of the time as well. It's that kind of journey and adventure. Today, we have a great episode. We are talking the Caped Crusader himself, Batman. It's one of my favorite comic book characters of all time. He's who got me into comic books. So we have, in honor of Batman Day, a Batman themed episode coming at you. But first, if you're here, great. And if you've happened to stumble upon us and don't know how to find us, catch us by searching Hops News on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. Find us on YouTube at Hops News. Go to Instagram, Hops Geek News, Geek Hops on Twitter, and then go to Threadless. Go to hopsgeeknews.threadless.com and go ahead, get yourself some good merch. We have a lot of good logos, a lot of good merchandise out there right now. And every single dollar that gets, sent back to us from there, we put it right back in the pod, whether it's stickers, whether it's getting new logos, always trying to change something, whether it's getting beer for the podcast or just it's 100% going back to the podcast. And we sincerely appreciate anybody who has hooked us up. So we're happy to see you here. I am Matt, aka Mash. Alongside me is Lauren, aka the Hoppy Mommy. And first things first, of course, what are we not experts on? We're gonna do some no news today. There is no news, but we're gonna talk about what we messed up on and what we watched recently before rolling on into Batman. So, what did we mess up on last week?
I'm so sorry. I failed you. You trusted me, and I failed you.
So the last 2 weeks, we've had quite a few mess ups on phonetic pronunciation. So I'm not going to fix all of those, but I did phonetically write in here how to say Shang-Chi's actual name. It is Simu Liu.
We did it.
That is how, yes. And anytime we mentioned him, his TikTok was amazing that you sent me. So he actually did a whole TikTok making fun of the pronunciation of his own name, but it's even more difficult apparently to say it in his actual Chinese pronunciation. Yeah. So that was, he's hilarious.
He is. I have a man crush on that dude. Hardcore, straight up.
So we will be saying his name again, obviously, in a lot of future MCU movies, and I will always write it phonetically until I have it mastered, like I do Mjolnir or Heimdall. And if I said those wrong, I apologize. The other thing that mentioned is, and you actually corrected me on this, but I did want to look it up. So it looked to me like it was Galactus in the Eternals trailer. And apparently I wasn't the only one because there's multiple articles on this. So in Guardians of the Galaxy, the Collector shows a projection of this very same Celestial wielding the Power Stone to destroy a planet like it's nothing more than squishing a bug. It was just a brief flashback. So it's understandable why the looming figure in the Eternals trailer seems new, but it's not new. This character is known as Isan the Searcher. Isan is one of many Celestials featured in Marvel Comics, recognizable by his six-eyed helmet. Obviously, I copied and pasted that from another article and did not just say it all naturally like that. So that is not Galactus. He has the helmet.
I told you he's a Celestial. I corrected you right away. I was trying to save you.
No, you are 100% correct. You did correct me, but I wanted to find out who it was. And so now I know it is Isan the Searcher.
Going above and beyond because I'm too lazy to do it.
Nothing less for this podcast.
I appreciate that. So what have you read and or watched recently?
Well, let's see. We recorded like 3 days ago.
We did.
The only thing I have other than Supernatural read or watched the past few days is I watched that Cinderella movie on Prime.
Oh, we put that on, actually. I couldn't tell you anything about it because I didn't actually watch it. So
it's cute, very cute. It's a fun spin on a fairy tale, very girl power. At the end, it starts to get a little cheesy and predictable, but it's a kid's movie. It's a lot of fun. My kids loved it. The music was great. They do a lot of songs that you like. They start singing Material Girl.
No, they really did have. I noticed that I did remember. Madonna made an appearance. Not her personally, but her music.
Right. Dina Menzel is playing the evil
Queen
stepmother,
Elsa
and she
herself.
sings it. Yeah.
See,
so she did an awesome job.
I do remember more than I let on, I guess.
No, it was really good. I highly recommend it. It's on Prime. So if you have Prime, it's no extra money, but no, I liked it. It was fun. And who doesn't love Madonna? And the only other thing I watched is What If?
We're going to talk about that in just a second. We're going to spoil it real quick in just a second. I pretty much haven't watched anything. Last night, we did watch He's All That, which, not to get confused with She's All That. This is the worse version of He's All That, starring dude from Cobra Kai.
Ravi.
Yeah, Robbie from Cobra Kai. He was in it as He Is All That. So it's basically centered around this girl is a famous TikTok influencer, and one of the Kardashians is like her boss, and she loses her sponsorship because she melts down of her boyfriend cheating, and to get it back, she made it a bet with the girl from the game plan with The Rock when she was a little girl. Now she's grown up in an asshole. So they make a bet to pick the most loser kid to do him up in a makeover and all this stuff. And it's, yeah.
What a unique story.
It wasn't great by any means, but it was kind of like a shut your brain off, and we watched it. So there's that. And other than that,
how was it compared to the one with Freddie Prinze Jr.?
You're not beating Freddie Prinze Jr. So first of all, it doesn't
just
compare.
wondering.
But the main girl from She's All That actually plays the mom in He's All That.
Oh my God, are we that old now?
And so kiss me.
Or am I that old
when
now?
that song plays, she's like, I think I know this from somewhere.
Oh my God.
Matthew Lillard was also in it too, speaking of. So yeah,
was he in She's All That?
I don't think he was, but he's Shaggy forever and always. And I love Matthew Lillard, and this is a Matthew Lillard Stan account. So, or Stan podcast, I should say. But we did watch What If. We did. And spoilers, 3, 2, 1. It was Marvel Zombies this week. And dude, this is my favorite episode. How do you feel?
I really liked it. I don't know if it was my favorite. So whenever I see the zombie comics, I've never read any of them. And I'm always kind of like, how can this even be a good story? What are they doing? Of course, I used to not like zombie anything before The Walking Dead, because I don't know, it just seemed silly to me. But once I watched The Walking Dead and realized sometimes they're more than about zombies, yada, 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 whatever. So I really liked it. It was a great story. It was completely not what I expected. They kept a lot of humor in it, kept a lot of hope, a nod to Uncle Ben.
Literally a lot of hope.
A lot of hope. I called that too. I'm like, what the fuck? Are they really going to leave her giant? Like, please tell me she has enough, like...
She was a giant zombie. It was fucking dope.
But how did they not know that was going to happen? They knew that was going to happen.
I don't know.
It's like, come on, she needed to like quickly shrink. Like, did they just think she was going to miraculously die and not come back like that?
Okay, but can we talk about Vision literally cutting T'Challa's leg off and feeding it to Wanda?
Feed it to Wanda. Yeah, that was
insane.
He's
keeping the head of Scott Lang, who is sentient, mind you. He was hilarious. Paul Rudd, as always.
He was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, this episode was creepy. It really was. Like, it had that heart. And it starts off like Bruce Banner, like, oh, you guys are screwed now. And Thanos' children are showed up, and then Iron Man blasts him in the head. And from there, it just evolves. And you see that when the zombie apocalypse, it started because Hank went into the quantum realm to save Janet, and she was a zombie. She eats him.
Janet.
And they come back to the regular world, and Hank Pym is a zombie, and he breaks out and bites everybody. And then little Hank Pym goes into a little mode because they still have their powers and stuff. And so when the Avengers step off the plane to save the day, it bites Captain America, and they just die from there and become zombies. And I thought it was really great that all the heroes kind of got involved in this. Sharon got to be involved. So what's his name there?
And that was Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah. And so Chadwick was in it. Sebastian Stan was in it as Bucky. He fights Cap there and cuts him in half with his shield, which I thought was a really good scene.
I guess this is the end of the line.
It was really creepy though when like Captain America shows up as a zombie, and it's just like the red background and you see a silhouette. Like, that shit was creepy, dude. And yeah, though, you kind of, where it takes off, they go and they get Vision's holding all the zombies at bay at the Mind Stone, and Vision's up to some dark stuff. He's holding T'Challa captive, cut his leg off to feed Wanda, who breaks out. And then Vision's like, oh yeah, you guys are right. I kind of messed up. And I thought it was great.
Yeah. What was interesting though, is they still seem to have some recognition of relationships. Like Wanda, like, broke out when they were fucking with Vision. So there was still some like recollection of some stuff.
Yeah, they kind of remember, it seems like. And then I thought what the most heartbreaking thing about it all was, so in WandaVision that kicked off phase 4, it's about Wanda losing Vision. Well, in this particular episode,
yeah,
it's Vision losing Wanda, and Scott loses Hope because she's like the main key portion of keeping everybody together, and she gets scratched and sacrifices herself getting them to Vision. And then what I thought was really cool is Hulk shows back up, and you don't know, as far as we know, he's still alive. He was fighting Wanda. Like, they were going head to head. That was sick. and they're flying away in a Quinjet. And the very end, the very last scene is zombie Thanos showing up with the gauntlet,
Right. But you see
stones
he's
and all.
missing, but he's missing the Mind Stone, you see.
He is, yes, which they have.
Right.
So do you think we're going to get more Marvel zombies maybe in season 2?
I 100% do. I think that a lot of these stories, I think like the T'Challa one, that wrapped up nicely. I think some of them are, obviously the Doctor Strange one wrapped up, but I think some of them we're definitely going to see again. And I think that because they confirmed that we're going to see Peggy Carter again, or Captain Carter again.
Yeah, they already announced she's in season 2.
Right. And even though the T'Challa story got wrapped up, they ended it with Ego meeting Star-Lord, and like, well, so they're leaving cliffhangers here. And also when Thanos showed up, we haven't seen the Guardians yet. We haven't seen Thor yet. So we have more people to show up and fight Thanos.
True. Yeah.
And there's still hope because they're going to Wakanda, and you have Shuri in Wakanda. I could see Shuri figuring out some way to fix everything. So I think it was fun. I'm having fun with this. I love it. Would love to see them like introduce. I don't think they're going to yet. I think they're going to make us hold out for movies, but because it's What If and because it's other universes, it would be a great and easy way for them to introduce X-Men or introduce Fantastic Four. And I don't think they're going to do it. I think they're just going to keep giving us the characters we've already seen. But it would be,
what if season 2 comes out?
Yeah. I mean, the possibilities are honestly limitless now that
you just blew my mind there. Like,
okay, I'm glad.
What if they softly introduce the X-Men and they bring them into the What If? Oh, that's great.
I mean, it's so easy too,
like
because
Fantastic
it's cartoons and they can feel people out. Yeah,
well,
bring Wolverine into a zombie, right? And like in a zombie apocalypse, couldn't he like regenerate? Because like in the comics, the vampires are actually like like Dracula like wants to capture Wolverine, and they research him because using his blood, they're able to like be out during the day. So he might be somewhat like resilient to like zombies as well. And so that would, I mean, you could bring Wolverine in pick any story and I'll figure out a way to bring Wolverine in.
Yo, that would be dope. That would be crazy. You just blew my mind with that. Let us know what you think if this is something like, I want to hear your guys' thoughts. So I have nothing else. I'm going to leave it on that note because that's a very high note. Shall we talk Batman? We're gonna switch gears, go to a different universe, and now we're gonna talk some Batman. So this is all about his origins, what comic books that we recommend, movies to recommend, all that kind of good stuff. So we're gonna dive on in. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in a second.
You could die. At least tell me your name.
It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me.
Bruce?
No, not now.
You are a disgrace.
No, you are not my father. I am not a disgrace. I am vengeance. I am the Knight. I am Batman.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. And Lauren, why don't you tell everybody what we're drinking on this special episode?
Oh, what are we drinking? We are drinking the OG of the West Coast style IPA, the numero uno on the West Coast, Pliny the Elder.
We are.
So Pliny the Elder. So you're going to get a little bit of a mini beer school because this brewery deserves to have that, or this beer specifically. So it is from Russian River Brewing Company, which is in Sonoma County, California, which is by the Russian River Valley, whatever it is. So the first time I actually heard of this beer was in the Complete Beer Course Boot Camp for Beer Geeks book by Joshua Bernstein. It's actually a really cool book. If you're like a beer nerd at all, definitely check it out. So brewmaster Vinny, what his last name is, so I'm not even gonna try. So Vinny created this beer, but was not the first to actually start Russian River Brewing. It was originally a brewery in a vineyard. And the winemaker, however, that started Russian River in 1997, then shut it down and sold the brand to Vinny. So Vinny actually grew up in wine. His parents were wine people.
My cousin Vinny.
No, it's a different guy. This one's a little taller.
Okay.
So Pliny the Elder actually won at GABF in 2005 and 2006, but the whole category of double IPA didn't even come about until the early 2000s. Pliny the Elder was a real person. He was a Roman author, lawyer, and military man, and he wrote natural history. He died around the year 79 AD, so that gives you an idea how old he
They
was.
tell you the story on the side of the bottle, actually.
Do they really?
They
I did all this
do.
research and I didn't even know
Pliny
that.
the Elder was a Roman naturalist, scholar,
Oh
historian,
my God, it does.
and author.
And
In
I'm
his
over here
writings,
Googling and looking in the books I own.
he refers to lupus salictarius, meaning wolf among scrubs. That's me amongst you. He likely an early reference to
What?
hop vines growing wild among willows. Pliny the Elder died in 79 AD while saving people during the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. Wow, what a stud.
I thought that was an interesting one. The thing I read though, that was he was overly curious and leaned too far in or some shit.
He was like, look at that lava flow, dude.
Right.
And he fell. He was immortalized by his nephew and adopted son, Pliny the Younger. Pliny the Elder. The beer is full-bodied, hop-forward double IPA, keep refrigerated, consumed fresh, best to enjoy. So, I mean, you can, by all means, I love your beer schools. You are probably top tier when it comes to knowledge with this stuff. So, hey, continue away. Don't let the bottle take your thunder.
Well, the bottle might be a little bit misleading actually. So,
Oh.
right, because I've heard that before. I honestly didn't realize it was on the bottle, which shame on me
I
because
didn't
I've
either
had
till literally just now.
the
We had 'em
first Pliny
before.
the Elder I've ever had has been on my shelf for years, and it's next to Pliny the Younger and Blind Pig, which are two other beers of theirs. So lupulin is actually the yellow gland of a hop plant in which the hop acids and essential oils can be found, and that's what you actually put in the beer. So when he called a plant Lupulus salicitarius, some translated it to meaning hops because of that word lupulin, which is, you'd see it in many different languages and root words and all that crap. So throughout history, they've kind of thought that might be what it is, but they're not definitively certain that's what it is. So it could have been something else. And like a lot of beer history, because beer is so old, there's so many things that we don't really know. We kind of speculate on. Like, I love the whole theory that witches were brewers, and it very well may be true. There's a lot of evidence to back it. But again, it's theory. It's not proven.
Witches should, I mean, in a way,
Witches
though,
be brewing.
be brewing, first of all. And second of all, like, witches are up to like witchcraft and brewing. It's all connected.
Magic. I love that. I did a whole beer school on that last year. And I mean, yeah, they wore the hats at the markets because that's how they showed people, hey, the beer's ready. They had black cats in the brewery to keep the rats out of the malt. And I mean, there's just so many, it all fits. It all makes sense. And they were brewing over brew kettles. But Pliny the Younger, like you said, was his nephew, and that is what they call their triple IPA, which they only release once a year, and it's very difficult to get. And people have waited overnight for it. Fortunately, because of COVID, I was able to get it because they didn't have the event. It was just online, and shout out to Tracy. I was able to get it. But so that's it. I think Blind Pig is a little better. That's their IPA. This is their double IPA, but it's still fantastic and it holds up. And even though all these other breweries have improved over the years, Pliny and Hetty still hold up.
I gotta say, I mean, I've had one before, and so this is my second Pliny. Tracy, shout out to Tracy first and foremost, like the saint that is Tracy. She sent this to us.
That is Tracy. It's true.
So yeah, she sent us this Pliny. I believe she sent me my first ever Pliny as well before I really got to know who she is, and it's really cool. I think this beer is great, and this is kind of on the around the label. It says does not improve with age. Hoppy beers are not meant to be aged. Keep away from heat. Respect your elder.
I see what they did there. Respect your elder. Bless you.
As I sneeze off screen, Pliny the Elder is a historical figure. Don't make the beer inside this bottle one. That's kind of funny too. Not a barley wine style ale. Do not age. Age your cheese, not your Pliny. Respect hops. Consume fresh.
Age your cheese, not your Pliny.
Man, I would love to get to this brewery. Brewwitch actually just went there, and I guess for like $25 a flight, they give you every beer that they have on their tap at the moment.
Yes, they do. And it's a beautiful flight. It's probably the prettiest flight I've ever had.
Got some really nice head on this beer. You see this? Like, look how beautiful.
Ooh, that is nice head. Oh, and I like it that you have it in like a pine tree glass because Pliny is very piney.
It's a lone pine glass. Don't tell anybody.
Oh, I like Lone Pine.
Lone Pine is wicked good. They make really good trail beers. They're out of Portland, Maine. Just a heads up.
I'm trying to take a damn picture of the Pliny for the
Anyways,
Instagram, and my stupid
we're
phone's
getting
full.
we're getting all crazy. So that's kind of our mini beer school. That's what we're drinking. Like I said, we're diving into Batman. Batman is a character who I have him tattooed on my body in multiple places. Yes, I don't have just one Batman tattoo. I
I
have
do not have
two
him tattooed
actually.
anywhere.
He is the first superhero, honestly, that I ever got into. So I've always had this deep love for Batman. Going back to, I remember watching Batman Forever. And then, of course, I mean, Batman Forever, it was like my introduction really into him because that was the first Batman movie I watched. I was 6 years old, I believe, at the time. And then, I watched Batman and Robin, and there was that kind of lull in between. I was later introduced when I got a little older to Batman 89. And oh gosh, why am I blanking on the second Batman? Why did I blank on the name?
Batman 2? I don't know.
Oh
I
my-
watched it recently too, and I can't even remember. The one with Michelle Pfeiffer.
We're gonna fix this mistake real quick. I'm cutting this out just so we're clear. We're not having this mistake on the podcast.
I hope you leave it in. I hope you forget.
Knowing me, I probably will. Batman. No,
Just Batman 2.
no. Batman 1993. No.
That was
92?
91.
91?
I don't know.
Fuck, dude.
Didn't you have it in your notes? Batman Returns.
Batman Returns. So I was later introduced to Batman Returns. Yes. Wow. For a second there, I'm probably going to cut this out, but just know that we really blanked on what Batman Returns was. So,
In case you forget to cut it out.
oh, goodness gracious. Yes. So he was the first superhero that I ever grew up loving and still love to this day. He is tied with the Flash in like my favorite superheroes. I've always been a DC guy though. So that's just me. And what was your introduction to Batman? I know you're more of a Marvel fiend, but tell me, like, how do you feel about Batman? What was your introduction into the character?
So yeah, I'm definitely more Marvel, but my first introduction to superheroes was Batman and Superman. It was the God, what was Christopher Reeve's Superman?
Yeah.
And it was Tim Burton's Batman. Yeah, 100%. It was Michael Keaton, and to me, he's still my favorite Batman. I mean, that movie came out in '89, so I was 6 when that movie came out. So I probably saw it when I was like 7, 8, 9, or whatever. But I remember it being very dark, and I don't remember it being campy at all until I watched it when I was older.
Batman
no,
Returns was not campy. They were trying. That's why like Tim Burton got yelled at because they were trying to sell toys and they couldn't really sell toys with how that movie.
But compared to like Christian Bale, it is still campy.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I always, I remember the first time I watched Nightmare Before Christmas, and I mean that's Tim Burton too. I mean, Danny DeVito even looks just like the vampires when in his penguin outfit with the umbrella. But so Batman has been a household name, whether you're into comics or not. It's a household name.
It is, and I feel like that's a lot of kids' first superhero, just because Batman so well, and he's so deeply ingrained into our culture. I know nowadays, of course, with the Marvel films, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, they're more so, but in the '90s, I mean, everybody knew Batman, and so Batman was first introduced in 1939. And the success of Superman in Action Comics prompted editors at National Comics Publications, which was later to become DC Comics, to request more superheroes for its titles. In response, Bob Kane then created the Batman, so hyphenated. Collaborator Bill Finger, Bill Finger was never credited in films until recently with Zack Snyder. He never got his name. Like, it was always Batman created by Bob Kane, but never Bill Finger's name in, which there was always this big thing, big disrespect. But anyways, he recalled that Kane had an idea for a character called Batman, and he'd like me to see the drawings. I went over to Kane's, and he had drawn a character who looked very much like Superman with kind of reddish tights, with boots, no gloves, no gauntlets, and a small domino mask, swinging on a rope. He had 2 stiff wings that were sticking out, looking like bat wings, and under it was a big sign, Batman. The Batwing like cape was suggested by Bob Kane, it was inspired as a child by a Leonardo da Vinci sketch of the ornithopter flying device. And I hope I said that right.
Oh, I don't know how to say that, but I know what you're talking about. Because wasn't it like a prediction of like the airplane or something?
Yeah, that was like the early, yeah, that's what that was. So
Mhm.
that's what inspired Batman's wings. And so Finger suggested giving the character a cowl instead of a domino mask, a cape instead of wings, and he also recommended gloves. He then also recommended removing the red sections of the original costume, and he stated that he devised the name Bruce Wayne for the character's secret identity. Bruce Wayne's first name came from Robert the Bruce, the Scottish patriot. Wayne, being a playboy, was a man of gentry. I searched for a name that would suggest colonialism. I tried Adams, Hancock, and then I thought of Mad Anthony Wayne. He later said his suggestions were influenced by Lee Falk's popular The Phantom, a syndicated newspaper comic strip character with which Kane was also familiar with. So it's kind of interesting that Bruce Wayne, I mean, you kind of see it with his old money and things of that nature. They reference
Yeah.
old Gotham a lot, but he was kind of based off of almost the founding fathers in a way. If you look at it that way, Hancock, John Adams, John Quincy Adams, all those kind of characters. It's really interesting.
Yeah. No, and it makes sense too, because you look at that era of, wanting the American hero, and they needed a slice of that, even though he's
Oh,
very
especially in
dark.
39, things, we were coming out of the Great Depression at that point,
Mhm.
and we were getting ready for World War II.
World War II, yeah.
So, Kane and Finger drew upon contemporary 1930s pop culture for inspiration regarding much of the Batman's look, personality, methods, and weaponry. Details find predecessors in pulp fiction, comic strips, newspaper headlines, and autobiographical details referring to Kane himself. As an aristocrat hero with a double identity, Batman had predecessors in the Scarlet Pimpernel, I don't know if I pronounced that right, created by Baroness Imuska Orski in 1903, and Zorro, created by Johnston McCulley in 1919. That
Hey,
makes
look
a
at
lot
that.
of
We had a
sense.
Zorro reference in Shang-Chi too. I feel
We
like if
did.
anybody who listens to us regularly and drinks while they listen, a new drinking game can be anytime we fuck up a name, take a sip.
Take a sip, let us know, and then take a sip. You're going to be drunk too at the end of this because
Right.
the past couple of weeks, I mean, God, names have been tough.
Well, just the name,
especially.
yeah.
So,
But okay, so I'm gonna do it tonight.
struggle. Yeah. So we had obviously Batman performed his heroic deeds in secret, averted suspicion by playing aloof in public, and marked his work with a signature symbol. Kane noted the influence of the films The Mark of Zorro in 1920 and The Bat Whispers in 1930 in the creation of the character's take a drink. Iconography, something like that. Finger drawing inspiration from pulp heroes like Doc Savage, The Shadow, Dick Tracy, and Sherlock Holmes made the character a master sleuth. So a lot of these, you can kind of see a lot of that with, the initial domino mask, kind of like Zorro wore, the all black, all those things, they kind of play into what Batman was or was becoming. And then in 1939, I mean, that was just like everybody knew what Zorro was at this point. And heck, even today, I associate Antonio Banderas even still
Me
with
too.
Zorro because that's my first introduction to the Zorro character was
Mhm.
Antonio Banderas way back in the day. So
Yep, agreed.
in his 1989 autobiography, Kane detailed Finger's contributions to Batman's creation. One day I called Bill and said, I have a new character called the Batman, and I made some crude elementary sketches I'd like you to look at. He came over and I showed him the drawings. At the time, I only had a small domino mask, like the one Robin later wore. And Bill said, why not make him look more like a bat and put a hood on him? And take the eyeballs out and put just slits for eyes to make him look more mysterious. At this point, Batman wore a red union suit. The wings, trunks, and mask were all black. I thought that red and black would make a good combination. Bill said that
Like
the
a red
costume
hood.
was too bright. Yes. Well, it is interesting because Superman was around at this time. He has red as well. And red kind of pops out, which
Yeah.
kind of goes against the purpose if you're creating a character whose whole is just mysterious and shrouded behind the shadows. It's like you're not really hiding anywhere if you're wearing
Right.
red.
I like
But-
the red coats and like the Revolutionary War.
Well, that's another thing. Yeah. So Bill said that the costume was too bright. Again, color it dark gray to make it look more ominous. The cape looked like two stiff bat wings attached to his arms. And Bill and I talked. We realized that these wings would get cumbersome when Batman was in action. And so I changed them into a cape, scalloped to look like bat wings when he was flying or swinging down on a rope. Also, he didn't have any gloves on, and we added them so that he wouldn't leave fingerprints. And here I was thinking, if they're swinging around on ropes, you want gloves for rope burn, but the fingerprints makes even more sense.
Yes. I love it when logical things come about.
It does really seem, I love doing these deep dives because it's like you can kind of research into what the creators' minds were thinking. Because this character
just want to make sure those gloves aren't slippery.
Yeah. And so the fingerprints, obviously Batman's knows one of the greatest detectives. It would make sense that he's wearing gloves and things of that nature to protect his identity.
Right.
So
yeah, because he's kind of well known.
Yeah, I'm just a little, especially if you're a billionaire named Bruce Wayne, who literally everybody knows.
Yep.
So the first Batman story, The Case of the Chemical Syndicate, was published in Detective Comics number 27, May of 1939. Finger said Batman was originally written in the style of the pulps, and his influence was evident with Batman showing little remorse over killing or maiming criminals. I just want to take a second. Batman used to kill people. Batman in the movies still kills people.
Right.
His no killing rule, people take issue with, especially in the Zack Snyder films. But his origins were him beating people to a pulp and killing. Even now, though, he still maims criminals. Look at him. He breaks bones left and right.
That's what I've never fully understood about like the DC in general is, you see it in Titans, like, oh, he won't kill Joker. And then it's like, who gives a shit if he does? And they're like, oh, you can't go full dark side, but I thought he did kill people. And they did the same thing with Arrow, with Stephen Amell's Arrow. It's like, oh, I'm going to stop murdering people. Okay. I don't know.
Well, no, it makes a good point. So the understanding behind Batman is that if he kills one person, he can see how easy it is. And so he becomes a murderer from then on. And so that's why he doesn't do it. But I feel personally, in that certain circumstances, like the Joker or these bad guys that are killing mass amounts of people, isn't it kind of like a justified means to an end?
Yeah, especially because they keep breaking out.
He keeps breaking out. Joker's out here killing everybody.
It's like if we've learned anything from superhero movies and TV shows, is like if you don't kill the villain, it will come back to haunt you. You should probably kill their kids too, because then the kids come back to get you.
You kill their mom. You kill their dad.
You
kill them. You kill their kids. You kill their nieces.
Oh,
you kill their
I
nephews.
just turned into the Mexican
you go
cartel.
full mob boss, and you kill everybody that they have ever known or loved. All right, so we all know that Lauren is going to be a crime boss one day. So
how do you know I'm not already?
That's a good. I'm going to make you a crime boss in our comic book, maybe. Who knows?
Yes.
So, anyways, the character's origin was released in Detective Comics number 33, unfolding in a 2-page story that establishes the brooding persona of Batman, a character driven by the death of his parents. Written by Finger, it depicts a young Bruce Wayne.
Wait, Batman's parents died?
We've never seen that. They haven't yet
to
show
brand
it.
New information.
They have yet to show it in any iteration of Batman.
Did his mom wear pearls?
I think his mom wore pearls. I think his dad was a doctor, and I think there was a dude with a gun.
Was there a rose?
There might have been a rose that he was kissed from. I'm gonna get to that because it's still never. Anyways,
sorry.
So Bruce Wayne witnesses his parents' murder at the hands of a mugger. Days later, at their grave, the child vows, "By the spirits of my parents, I will avenge their deaths by spending the rest of my life warring on all criminals." So
that's what every parent wants.
Maybe this kid should have got a therapist. Maybe.
Seriously, Alfred. Seriously.
Was mental health a thing in 1939? Because I feel like it should have been a thing in 1939.
It is now, and Alfred's still not getting it together.
That's very true. It's very true. Alfred helps him out, so Alfred's got some pent-up aggression, I guess. I don't know. But in the story, The Mightiest Team in the World, in Superman 76, in June of 1952, Batman teams up with Superman for the first time ever, and the pair discover each other's secret identities. Clark, Bruce, Martha.
You said it, not me.
Batman comics were among those criticized when the comic book industry came under scrutiny with the publication of a psychologist, Frederick Wortham's book, Seduction of the Innocent in 1954. Wertham's thesis was that children imitated crimes committed in comic books and that these works corrupted the morals of the youth. Wertham criticized Batman comics for their supposed homosexual overtones and argued that
The
Batman and
ambiguously
Robin.
gay duo.
Well, he argued that Batman and Robin were portrayed as lovers. First of all, Mr. Wortham, if you thought that kids were doing crimes and sex, drugs, and violence, wait till you get to the 60s, my friend.
Well, it was Marvel got attacked too, because that's when we got the because I read a biography on Stan Lee, and that was where we got the stamp. And that was a whole big thing of it's a comic approved stamp now.
Well, it's just like the whole war against video games. They're saying that video games make kids violent and things of that nature.
Right. And Eminem spoken before Congress and all this crap. Yeah.
Yeah. Rap music. It's corrupting our minds. It's not
the parents' fault.
Batman and Robin were portrayed as lovers. No, first of all, I mean, maybe in Batman Forever because fucking Dick Grayson, aka Robin, is literally 49 years old when he gets picked up by Bruce. But again, who cares? Maybe it's just two dudes in love going out and making the world a better place, one broken criminal at a time. Okay.
It's no different than Hawk and Dove.
No, like who cares?
Still mentally unstable. If you're fighting crime together for your relationship, it's not good for the relationship.
It's really, if your whole relationship is based around fighting crime together, you might need a couple therapists. You might need a regular therapist. You might.
But that's not why we're here today.
We're not here to psychoanalyze anybody because if I could fight
if
crime,
you're out there fighting crime
dollars,
with your significant other, we're not here to judge. Just maybe go seek help.
You or don't. I don't know. The world's kind of messed up these days between coronavirus and whatever's happening in Portland, Oregon. But the debut of Batman, the television series in 1966, had a profound influence on the character. The success of the series increased sales throughout the comic book industry, and Batman reached a circulation of close to 900,000 copies. Elements such as the character of Batgirl and the show's campy nature were introduced into the comics. The series also initiated what?
I'm going to throw a fun fact in here real quick that I got when I was researching movies, which I'm going to get to later. Batgirl, they wanted to bring Batgirl into the Adam West TV show, and that's when they put her into the comics. So she was created for the TV show, but they introduced her in the comics first.
Awesome. Okay. First of all, I have that whole series on DVD and the movie, actually. It is campy. Nice. It is a lot of fun.
And Adam West, though. He's awesome.
Honestly, though, it's probably one of those things that, like, when I was really, really, really going through a hard time in life, I would just throw that in my PlayStation and I would just watch that mindlessly at night. It was like a really comfort thing to me. So I love the series.
Supernatural for me.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I totally get it. But, so the series initiated the return of Alfred as well. So although both the comics and the TV show were successful for the time, the camp approach eventually wore thin, and the show was canceled in 1968. In the aftermath, the Batman comics themselves lost popularity once again. As Julia Schwartz noted, when the television show was a success, I was asked to be campy. And of course, when the show faded, so did the comic books. I find this point really interesting because it's very interesting to me that the show waned in popularity and was only ran for 2 years because of how popular it is today. You go to Comic-Cons. Mm-hmm. What's the one Batmobile that's at a con more often than not? 1966.
Oh, the original one.
I have a picture of me in the Raleigh Comic-Con the same day I met David Tennant. I have a picture of me in that Batmobile. It's at every single con. Adam West was forever known as Batman from then forward. Like that's what you knew him and Burt Ward from.
So, right. And they even make comments in because obviously he voices the mayor of Quahog. What is it? Quahog. Drink. But yeah, they make comments in that. But and Robin made a cameo in Arrowverse. I'm jumping ahead to my fun facts, did. But yeah, he was and that was so funny because when I saw him, I'm like, he's got to be somebody. He did a cheesy Robin line and he's wearing the Robin colors, and it was the original Robin.
Shark repellent.
Hey, shark repellent's way better than killing sharks. Sharks are friends.
Also true.
But no, I remember watching the show on syndication when I was little. And you see the scene where it looks like they're climbing up the building and everybody knows they're
Or he's
perfectly
carrying the bomb
upright.
through the city, and it's just like,
Oh my gosh. And then they
it's
did a
ridiculous.
crossover with Green Hornet too.
They did, yes.
And that one's interesting because it's like we've only seen Green Hornet in our day and age with Seth Rogen playing Green Hornet. It's like, is anybody going to
movie wasn't
revive
very
that and
good.
fix that? No.
Wasn't Kevin Smith wrote the Green Hornet or did something with that movie?
Oh, he might have.
I want to say I need to look into it, but I think Kevin Smith did something either with the comic book or the movie or the Green
Yeah, that was
Hornet.
an interesting one.
Yeah, but the
All right,
movie,
well-
I don't know. So,
Yeah,
starting
let's
in
get back into the-
1969, writer Dennis O'Neil and artist Neil Adams made a deliberate effort to distance Batman from the campy portrayal of the 1960s TV series and to return the character to his roots as a grim avenger of the night. O'Neil said his idea.
What do you think of Rocky Horror Picture Show?
I just
Creature
picture
of the night.
Tim Curry showing up like, "Hello, boys." This is what's his name, that psychologist, wanted this whole time. So,
Right? The dude in the wheelchair?
yeah, O'Neil said his idea was to simply take it back to where it all started, back to formula, as some
Take it back,
would
y'all.
say. I went to the DC library and read some of the early stories. I tried to get a sense of what Kane and Finger were after. And before I go into some other things such as the secret identity, the allies, his skills, TV appearances, blah, 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 why don't you give us your fun facts? I want to hear what fun facts you have about the movies.
Okay, so starting with Adam West. So I went by each person. I did not do Ben Affleck because we did a whole episode just
Put some damn respect on Batfleck's name, son.
He got his fun facts in our Batman vs Superman episode, and I
Fun
also
fact,
didn't do.
he's a great Bruce Wayne.
I didn't do Titans either because we just recently did him. So I'm not just being biased against me being very much so against Ben Affleck ever being Batman.
Bias.
Came up in my memories recently that Tim said he feels like he's the Stan Lee in all our episodes because he gets a little shout out. So here's your Stan Lee cameo, Tim. It came up in my memories from when they cast Ben Affleck. And it's like, meanwhile at Marvel Studios, and it's a bunch of people laughing. And on the newspaper, it says DC has cast Ben Affleck as Batman.
To be fair, I hated that casting when it first came out.
All right. So Adam West. So Batman and Robin, they actually did many PSAs dressed as their characters when they were doing the TV show and the movie. Adam West and Burt Ward, who played Batman and Robin, they actually revisited their characters in 2003 with a TV movie, Return to the Batcave, The Adventures of Adam and Burt. The story follows the duo playing themselves as they try to figure out who stole the Batmobile during the event. I had never heard of that, and I would actually love to watch that. So I'll have to find that. Adam West in 1980 tried to enlist the help of a couple teenagers to go to a press conference and just yell, "What about Adam West? If Adam West isn't Batman, I'm not going." It didn't happen, but he tried. But another fun fact that I found was the person who bought Batman bought him 10 years before Batman 89. So this might have been right when they got Batman and were trying to make the movie. So that's kind of funny. Okay, now moving on to Michael Keaton, my Batman. Pierce Brosnan actually turned down the role of Batman and later regretted it. Tim Burton had to fight for Keaton. He had just finished Beetlejuice with him, so he knew he would be perfect, but it took them a while for the studio to agree. Sean Young from Blade Runner, she was replaced with Kim Basinger last minute due to a horse incident injury. Keaton actually tore the bat suit trying to turn his head. So he had to alter how he reacted to everything. And you can kind of see that even when he's not in the suit, like his whole demeanor, he had to like kind of change it. So yeah, apparently he ripped like a huge hole like the first time he tried to turn his head.
That, I think of the Batman Forever when Robin and Batman are climbing up Riddler's mountain there. And Robin's like, "Holy rusted metal, Batman." And Val Kilmer, his whole body just turns. He's like, "Huh?"
What? I remember seeing that scene in like the movie theater when I was a kid because I thought, and then he's like, "It's rusted metal with holes."
Rusted metal holes, Batman. And you're like,
because yeah,
Batman's
right?
because
Because honestly, to me, that's still my favorite movie in any Batman movie ever.
It holds up. It really does.
It does hold up. Yeah. And when 89 Batman came out, people were actually stealing the movie posters from bus stations and that's just the simple one with just the Batman logo. Val Kilmer. So Billy D. Williams was actually paid to not play Two-Face in this movie because it was in his Batman 89 contract that since he was Harvey Dent, he would later play Two-Face. So they basically were like, "You're not good for this role. We're paying you to stay home." Tommy Lee Jones, who did play Two-Face, he only took the role because his son said it was his favorite comic book character, and he actually hated it. He hated doing the makeup. He hated working with Jim Carrey. He hated all of it. Robin Williams, they wanted him for Riddler, but he turned it down because they had wanted him for Joker and then sold him out last minute for Jack Nicholson. So he was like, fuck y'all, I don't like how you work. The bat nipples in this were supposed to resemble a Greek god statue. However, they are now known as the worst thing to ever happen in any Batman movie ever.
The bat butt and the bat nipples are sacred. Thank you.
Well,
no further questions at this time.
To each their own. George Clooney. So Arnold Schwarzenegger got top billing on this, not George Clooney, because George Clooney was really only known for
he was
ER at the time.
That was ER George Clooney at the time.
And Thursday nights were the only night. Well, sometimes Monday for Chicago Hope. Thursday nights were the only night I was allowed to stay up until 11, and that was to watch ER. I was like in middle school. Okay. So, however, Arnold did not wear the suit unless he absolutely had to. So Chris O'Donnell never actually did a scene with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He only did them with his stunt double. He said they were on set a lot together and they would chat and whatnot, but he never actually acted, what do you call it, across him or opposing him, whatever
That's
actors
weird.
say. Because he hated the costume, so it's such a pain in the ass to get into that he avoided it at all costs.
That is a theme, because Val Kilmer said that he hated being Batman and turned down the sequel that he was supposed to star in because he couldn't hear anybody while wearing the suit. And his acting was all based off of like other people hitting their marks and their movements. And so he felt like he wasn't really acting.
Ah, that's interesting. Well, and Val Kilmer said he bashed heads a lot with the director or executive producer, or whoever. So he didn't want to come back. Yeah. So Alicia Silverstone, this one's pretty fucked up. She got a ton of shit for gaining a few pounds because they had to like redo the bat suit because it's like painted on you practically. And people on set were actually calling her Butt Girl instead of Bat Girl. Yeah. This is like
Alicia
2 years after
Silverstone's
Clueless.
Still a snack. Okay.
Yeah, she's Alicia Silverstone. She's
she has
Cher.
a TikTok. She is like, she hasn't aged.
Oh, and she's reenacting Clueless stuff.
Yeah, she hasn't aged a day.
No, her and Paul Rudd. Look at that. Neither of them aged a day. Cher and Josh.
Handsome man.
It all comes back to Clueless. All right. Clooney claims to have peed in the suit. It was fucking gross. He said it more than once he peed in the suit because it was so hard to take off. But somebody had to clean that suit. Okay, Christian Bale. He did most of his own stunts. And this one's really sad. As of 2018, there was an article that said he still hasn't seen The Dark Knight Rises because of the shooting in Aurora, Colorado. He didn't feel comfortable watching it. Here's a less said one. He's actually not a superhero movie fan, and he hasn't seen any of the MCU movies.
Oh, wow. But he's starring as Gore. Is that his name? Is that the name?
I don't know. Drink. I don't even know what you're talking about. Should I know?
Christian Bale? He's going to be in Thor: Love and Thunder. Gore the God Butcher.
That's right.
What the hell?
Again, this was a 2018 article, so I will look into this further, and I will put it on our We Fucked Up because, yeah. Okay. I forgot about that. Okay. So this one's a funny fun fact. In Batman Begins, in the first scene he had with Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman, he actually fell asleep. So in the scene, he was meant to be waking up. So he lay down and just passed out, and he didn't hear action. So when Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman were talking, he was supposed to join in. And he woke up with Michael Caine poking him in the ribs going, look at that. He's bloody fallen asleep, hasn't he? He's bloody fallen asleep.
What's the good of all them push-ups if you can't even get up out of bed in the morning?
And my last fun fact has to do with Jensen Ackles.
Oh, of course it does. To be fair, he played Batman most recently. So
exactly. That's why. So as of right now, in the year of our Lord 2021, September 1st, Jensen Ackles is our most recent Batman in The Long Halloween. And it was predicted in season 2 of Supernatural. There was a scene where he
17 minutes and 31 seconds of episode 3.
Right. He threw a remote at a guy because he had a lucky rabbit's foot and knocked the guy out. And he goes, I'm Batman. And then he was cast as Batman. And in The Long Halloween, he makes a comment about family business. And that is why I'm drinking my Pliny the Elder out of my family business glass for more than one reason. And those are all the fun facts I researched. And now back to you, Matt.
All right. All right. Well, as we all know, his alias is Bruce Wayne. Surprise! Bruce Wayne.
I was like,
Surprise.
Is this going to be something new? What the hell?
No, his secret identity is Bruce Wayne. His allies are Alfred, his dad.
What?
For more or less,
Alfred's
that's
his
his dad.
ally?
He's more than a butcher.
Wow, guys, you heard it here
He's
first.
more than a butler. He's his dad, basically. He
His
may be
dad
your
who never
dad,
took
but
him
he
to
ain't your
therapy.
daddy, as some people would
Yondu.
say. But so he also has the Bat family. So Dick Grayson, Tim Drake, Jason Todd, Carrie Kelly from a certain comic book, which happens to be my favorite story. And then his son, Damian Wayne. He also has
Who names their kid Damien? Unless you're the devil,
I've
just
met
don't do
plenty
that.
of Damians in my life. So, I wonder how one of my friends, Damien from high school, is doing these. Anyways,
I actually like the name Damien, and I have a really nice friend named Damien. But when I hear Damien, I think of Damien Dark, and I think of the devil's son.
and Damien from the Omen. So, anyways,
Right.
also there's Batgirl / Oracle. Also, Lucius Fox's son at one point also takes up the Batman mantle. And so he's got the Bat family. We got family. I wonder if Dom
Oh, no.
Toretto is going to be a part of his family. Because you know what? Batman, Dom Toretto, family, the thing that brings them together. Even though Batman never had any because they were killed in an alley. So he also has Lucius Fox, who is in Dark Knight. Obviously, he is the guy who kind of runs the company for him. And then Jim Gordon, who is Commissioner Jim Gordon from the police. And then he has a couple of kids. And so the first one is with Talia al Ghul, the daughter of Ra's al Ghul. So his son
Wait,
with
what?
her. Yes.
Batman had a kid with her?
Yes, Talia al Ghul and Bruce Wayne. They did that thing with the birds and the bees. They got together one night.
Interesting.
Batman was like, "Yo, girl, you looking real fine." She was like, "Yo, let me see that bat butt."
They get in
dude."
that Lazarus
And
pit
then
and get all
he was like,
sexy.
"All right, here's his bat butt. What about the nipples?" And so like she caressed his bat nipples. Things got hot and steamy that night. And boom, 9 months later, Damian Wayne was born. And then like 12 years later, he became Robin. And then
She have a kid with Ra's al Ghul's daughter, and you name him Damien. That makes
where
sense.
love is eternal, like the Lazarus pit.
I gotcha.
Unlike Selena Kyle and Bruce Wayne also had a kid. And they had a daughter named Helena Wayne, which, if you're reading the newer run of Batman Catwoman, she is prominent in this. It's a flash forward, flashback kind of comic series. So that's always good. And moving on to his skills. So he does Aikido, boxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, capoeira, eskrima, fencing, hapkido, judo. Not even going to pretend to pronounce this word that starts with the K.
Drink.
Karate, kenjutsu, kenpo, kickboxing, kabuto,
Isn't it
Krav
Kempo?
Maga, Muay
Josh
Thai,
did that.
ninjutsu, pankration, sambo,
Did you say
savate.
pankration right? I'm
I
gonna drink
don't
just
know
in
what
case.
the hell it is. Taekwondo, wrestling, and numerous different styles of wushu, which is kung fu. So Batman traveled around the world learning all these fighting styles. That was like his thing. And in terms of his physical condition, Batman is in peak Olympic athlete level condition. So think Michael Phelps going out there swimming and then kicking everybody's ass at the Olympic Village that night.
Wouldn't it be
That's who
Aquaman?
Batman is. Batman is also easily able to run across rooftops in a parkour-esque fashion. Superman describes Batman as the most dangerous man on Earth, able to defeat an entire team of superpowered extraterrestrials by himself with planning time in order to rescue his imprisoned teammates in Grant Morrison's first storyline, the Justice League. All right, moving on to TV and film appearances. So there's 1,000,001 animated films, and I might list them in a minute, but we have Batman 66, TV show / movie. We have Batman 1989, played by Michael Keaton. Batman Returns, again, played by Michael Keaton, which was too dark a tone for the company to sell toys for. And then Batman Forever, starring Val Kilmer. Batman and Robin, starring George Clooney. Batman Begins, starring Christian Bale. The Dark Knight, which is my all-time favorite film. I saw it 3 times opening weekend. This was the last film I saw. You remember back in the day when if you wanted to see a movie, it was a true midnight showing and you had to get there like hours early.
Yeah, I
This
remember
was
being pregnant, waiting for Avengers.
this was it. This was the last film I think I saw at a true midnight showing before they slowly started pushing films back. Like my friends and I
Right.
got there at like 9 o'clock at night. The movie theater was just buzzing, dude. Like
I missed that.
absolutely
I'm not gonna lie.
I do too.
I mean, it's nice not leaving the movie theater at 4 a.m., but like I miss that camaraderie
But
and
at the
that
same
excitement.
time, like it was a great the movie theater is just absolutely buzzing. You're standing there with
Mhm.
either your friends or you make random friends in line. You're
And
all
local comic
talking.
book shops are there and they're giving
Yeah.
out stuff. Yeah.
And you're all talking about what you think's going to happen in the film, right? And then you
Mhm.
see the movie and everybody's like amped up. And then you get out of the movie and then everyone's just like, what? Like you
Right.
talk about it still. You're so tired, but at the same time, you need to talk about it.
Mhm.
I will say I did see Endgame at midnight, but that wasn't like a true midnight showing in my opinion because the first showings were actually at 6 p.m.
Right. I saw Endgame
So
at like 6 p.m.
I saw it at midnight. The girl next to me actually was crying, and I was like, "Yo, I feel you, girl. I feel
I was
you."
crying the whole movie. I've never cried
But
more in my entire life than
the
during that
I will
movie.
say The Dark Knight was probably the last true theatrical experience I have ever had. I was also almost 18 at that point, and so it's like it just holds a special. It was such a
You
turning
didn't
point
see
in my
Avengers at
life.
midnight?
No, I didn't
Because
care
I know
about the
without a
Avengers.
doubt I was in line. Because I remember we were waiting outside and the person in front of us was smoking. And because I was pregnant, I had to walk away.
I truthfully, I
And so
don't
I'm
know where I saw Avengers, but I do know that The Dark Knight Rises. So I was in basic training when The Dark Knight Rises came out.
mm,
I graduated the last week of July, so a couple weeks after it came out. I hadn't heard a single peep of this movie. I was in basic training, so like I hadn't had any contact with anybody. And so I went and my family, so like my mom came and visited, my girlfriend at the time came and visited, and I was like, "Yo, you know what? One thing we're doing, we get to go to San Antonio for one day. We're gonna see the Alamo. We're gonna eat a fucking burger, and
the
then
Alamo.
we're
That doesn't sound familiar. Do people
San
remember that
Antonio.
place?
No, they
Do people
don't.
remember that?
Remember, they should remember the Alamo.
Okay, there it is.
But and then I forced them to go to the IMAX theater of The Dark Knight Rises, and the movie to this day I still have a lot of problems with it. I'm not going to go into those. That's a
I
different
think
story for a
Batman
different
Begins
time.
might be my favorite Batman movie.
Batman Begins.
Is
Scarecrow
that
is one of
okay?
my favorite villains, and I feel like they didn't do him enough justice. But yes, it's okay because Batman Begins is fantastic.
Yeah, I really
Anyways,
liked seeing that the origin story of him and seeing because we hadn't gotten an origin story, in my opinion, from Batman before then, especially because I didn't read the comics. So I really liked that and seeing it more because it was also the beginning of seeing comic book movies as not campy and not just right off the pages of a comic book and seeing it as like I don't want to say realistic, but as realistic as a comic book
well, I
movie could
mean, it
kind of
was
get. Yeah.
very grounded. It was very, very much grounded, and that's what Christopher
It's got
Nolan was going
Liam
for.
Neeson
Yeah,
in it.
I mean, Liam Neeson. It has Cillian Murphy. It has Katie Holmes as Rachel
I loved Katie
Dawes.
Holmes. I didn't like
And
when Maggie
it has
Gyllenhaal took
Gary
over.
Oldman, and it sets you up at the end too because they show Gary Oldman and Batman. They're like, "Here's Joker's card," and so it really got you excited.
Oh, and then we got Heath Ledger. Yeah.
You even in that movie had the Batman mask where he couldn't move his head. And
Hmm.
so there was a lot to love. I liked Batman Begins a lot. I saw it a few times in theaters as well. And Dark Knight Rises, whatever. But we then had Batman v Superman, which I did see at midnight. I like the movie. I'm not talking
And if you
about it.
want more
I don't want your
opinions, what was
opinion.
that?
I don't want your opinion. I like the
I think we
movie.
did that one back in March. I think we did a whole episode on
We
that.
we also have the Justice League. He made an appearance in Suicide Squad where he beat Deadshot up in front of his daughter. We have Batman the
Oh, and he
animated
saved
series.
Harley, right?
He
Because she
did. He
can't
saved
swim.
Harley as well, and then they smooched. And
Wait,
we
Harley
saw,
kissed Batman?
yeah, didn't she like he saved her, and then she like woke up and kissed him? Yeah.
Oh, probably.
And so everybody forgets that movie. That movie sucks ass. Anyways, Batman the animated series, which is another comfort show for me because it's such perfection. And we have Justice League Unlimited and Batman Beyond, which is a really great cartoon series as well. We have notable animated movies. I want to note the Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Really, 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 really great animated film. Justice League Doom. You have Justice League War and Batman the Dark Knight Returns. that is probably my all-time favorite Batman story. So check those
You haven't
out. And
mentioned
then
Gotham,
most
though.
recently, I don't care for Gotham. The TV show doesn't exist because Batman isn't really in it.
Have you ever seen it?
I've tried. I have given it a try more than once.
I haven't finished it, but honestly, I do intend to finish it. It's actually pretty good. And they had some people came in like, I really liked the Riddler. I really liked the Joker.
It's
yeah.
not about it. I just couldn't get
I
into
really
it.
liked Penguin because Penguin was what's his face? He's in The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I know. I just couldn't get into it.
No,
They
I
were
think
trying
you
to
need
reboot
try
it on like HBO or something. There's supposed to be like a Gotham TV series.
because it's
that had
on
that.
Fox.
Well, no, they were supposed to do something on HBO, but it got canceled. It's not happening now.
Huh. But yeah, it was on Fox, so it never got any of the mixing in with the other shows
Well,
like,
I'll tell you what never got
CW
mixing
bought
in was
Supergirl.
Batfleck facing off against Deathstroke. That was supposed to be the film we were supposed to get, but whatever.
All right. Well, I didn't do
All
any
right.
fun facts on Gotham. Now I kind of wish I had.
Well, I have
'cause
recommended
actually really
readings, which the recommended readings, I would say, I stole this from Comic Book Keepers. I'll be honest with you. Lance, shout out to you, my man, because I stole this segment from you in your most recent to us episode of Wally West. And The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller, my all-time favorite storyline, shows a
I
55-year-old
read that
Batman.
one last year for our
I sent
episode
it
that
to you.
vanished. Right.
Yes.
So, and I actually very much so enjoyed that. It was definitely different than the normal comics that I feel like I've read. And I'm sure I had a lot better opinions last year when it was fresh in my mind and we recorded our Batman episode that
I
disappeared.
reread it and rewatch it once a year. Oh my God. It is
But yeah, that was a lot of
perfection.
fun.
I love it. And I don't want to spoil these. I just want to give you them. I don't want to spoil them because if you don't know Batman too well, I want you to read these for the first time yourself. So we have Nightfall, which came out in 1993. It's a story arc which introduced Bane, who critically injures Batman after pushing him to the limits of his endurance. John Paul Valley, known as Azrael, is called upon to wear the Batsuit during Bruce Wayne's convalescence. And the writers are Doug Munch, Chuck Dixon, and Alan Grant. They worked on the Batman titles during Nightfall. Again, very great storyline. Check that out. The Long Halloween, written by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. Really great. Also animated series that just came out. Hush.
Starring Jensen Ackles.
And a bunch of other people. Hush, which is by Loeb and artist Jim Lee. Under the Red Hood storyline, which introduces Red Hood, Jason Todd, who is
that the one where Jensen Ackles plays Red Hood?
No, this is a comic. But
okay, sorry.
There is an animated film called Batman Under the Red Hood, which is, again, this is like number 2 top Batman animated film. It has Jensen Ackles as Red Hood.
Red Hood.
Yes. Check that out. Then you have Court of Owls, which, oh my God, I want to see that on the big screen so bad. So it's a new 52 run by Scott Snyder. His first major story arc was Night of the Owls, where Batman confronts the Court of Owls, a secret society that has controlled Gotham for centuries. And I can't tell you enough how amazing that run is. Then we have Death of the Family, where the Joker returns to Gotham after thinking he was dead. He cuts his face off, all this shit. And he simultaneously, I can't pronounce this.
Simultaneously.
Thank you.
Drink.
Wow, it was hard. Why was that so hard?
Why was that
I don't know.
Sometimes words are hard.
He simultaneously attacks each member of the Bat family. And then the third story arc was Batman's 0 year, which redefines Batman's origin in the new 52. And that I have that one as well. Very good comic book. And this is kind of what Batman with Robert Pattinson's going to be based off of. It was published in June of 2012. It explored the character's early years, the final storyline before the Convergence storyline of 2015, depicting the supposed final Batman between Batman and the Joker when he unleashes the deadly endgame virus onto Gotham City. The story ends with Batman and Joker's supposed deaths, and then that goes into DC Rebirth, which was okay, I guess, and then the newer storylines, which there's nothing that like stands out to me currently from the later Batman runs. But we have Year One, again by Frank Miller, 0 year, which is Greg Capullo, a fantastic artist. Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder, like their runs with Batman, they straight up made Batman feel human. He is human.
Yeah, I was gonna say
what I mean by that is more often than not, we see Batman fighting like
personable
aliens and stuff. Whereas they made a good job of humanizing Batman, making him feel vulnerable, and you
Okay.
really thought he would die at points. And so that's what they did a great job. Really recommend reading anything by those two. And then we have Justice League Tower of Babel, where Ra's al Ghul gets his hands on Batman's contingency plans against the Justice League. And you kind of see that play out in the Justice League Doom movie. Highly recommend that animated film. And then lastly, The Killing Joke, which is a storyline where the Joker shoots Barbara Gordon, and that's where she becomes the Oracle afterwards because she becomes paralyzed. And so really recommend that. Don't recommend the animated film though. Don't watch the movie. Read the book, not the movie.
No, I know you've talked about it on past episodes, but my comic book guy was like praising it as well. Like he's like, yeah, this one's amazing.
Have you
and
not read it?
I haven't. I need to get it
Oh,
because I'm sure
I
at this
have
point
it.
it should be on trade back.
I have it. Worst case, if you can't find it, let me send it to you with the Great Notion beer I have for you, amongst a million other things I have to send to you.
The Great Notion beer I can definitely not get at my comic book shop. So
trust me, The Killing Joke is the coloring, the lettering, the art, really great. The book itself is fantastic, worth a read, really much so. And the last thing that I want to highlight real quick is Batman's Rogue Gallery. So we have the Joker, Two-Face, Penguin, Riddler, Scarecrow, Bane, Black Mask, Clayface, Firefly, Deadshot, Deathstroke, Killer Croc, Harley Quinn, Mad Hatter, Mr. Freeze, Man-Bat, Victor Zsasz, Solomon Grundy, Mad Hatter, Calendar Man, Brother
Mad
Eye.
Hatter twice.
Did I? I must have. I'm sorry.
Well, I only realized like some like Mad Hatters of Batman villains.
Yes.
That's
So
fun.
Brother Eye, who was from the more recent DC runs, and then Ra's al Ghul. So you see some big name. There's a million other Batman. I wasn't going to give you all of them, but my favorites are Mr. Freeze, Scarecrow, and Riddler. Mr. Freeze has such a sympathetic villain storyline behind him. If you can ever watch the Batman animated Heart of Ice, go watch that. It hits emotionally so well. And all Mr. Freeze was trying to do, it was get his wife back.
I was going to say save his wife. That was an arrow.
Yeah. That's all he's trying to do is get his wife back. Mr. Freeze, great villain. Scarecrow, I love that he plays on people's fears. Like that's his thing, is like he plays off of your fears. It's terrifying. It's creepy. I love the horror aspect there. And then the Riddler, again, he's kind of like serial killer, like wicked smart. And I love him. So, and then you have the other ones, of course, that we kind of know and love. Black Mask, we've seen Ewan McGregor play. Bane, we've seen. He's strong. He's powerful. Joker, yes. Believe it or not, comic book creators, there are other stories that you can do that aren't the Joker. Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face, is Batman's really close friend. And so that's all that I personally have in regards to Batman. He's one of my favorite superheroes. I know that there's a hot take. Oh, if Batman preps, he can beat anybody. But I think what DC does really well is they humanize these characters, and they do a really great job of making them feel like if I were to become a hero, they have real people problems. And Batman's Rogue Gallery is just a long list of people who are you can either sympathize with. They're psychos. They're scary. There's such an
You can sympathize with their psychos.
Well, I mean that broken up like comma.
No,
psychos.
no, I know, but it was.
I mean,
there needed to be
his
a comma
Rogue
in there.
Gallery is some of the best out there, and I can't recommend enough. Pick up some of these titles that we mentioned here. Do you have anything else left for Batman?
I don't think so. I mean, this is your guy. I mean, I think you summed it up well. He's one of your favorites.
He really is. And I hope you guys check everything out. This was a really fun episode. I love doing these deep dives. And catch us next week. We're going to start rolling into our Halloween stuff here soon because it's the best time of the year.
Crap.
We are going to start rolling into our Halloween stuff. We got some commentaries coming up for you. We have some Halloween spooky action, some really great beers. So by all means, please support us however you can, whether that's following us on the socials, it's listening to us, sharing our episodes, getting our stickers, whatever it is. Well, we love
Yeah,
chatting
send
with
us
you
a
guys.
DM. We'll send you a sticker for free.
Yeah, if you want stickers, we'll send you stickers free of charge. And well, thank you again, once again, thank you. And until next time, I will promote one thing. We have the Legion of Doom coming up. We are going to be doing a deep dive very soon on Hunter Zolomon in response to 7 other podcasts who are doing a Justice League. I have created the Legion of Doom, and there's more to come from that. This episode sponsored to you by Pliny. Cheers, everybody.
The OG of the West Coast.
This has been a Hops News production. You can find Hops News on all your favorite podcasts and social media platforms at Hops News. Cheers.